all doing well, welcome or welcome back to my channel if you are not new here, I guess. My name is Mishka, and in today's video we are going to be building a retro cafe with some, or retro diner rather, but with some CC. We are building in Oasis Springs, which comes with a base game, and this is on the Rattlesnake juice lot, which was a bar previously. So I'm kind of building this for perhaps a future save file in mind, which I do intend on using CC in my save files. And also, because this is a restaurant, I really do think that the objects that come with Dine Out is a little bit ugly, so I wanted to use other things, and I found the perfect pack to kind of go with this retro diner, aesthetic that I was going for today. And so that's why I chose to use CC. So all CC will be linked in my Patreon. I will put the link in the description if you're interested in downloading this build. And yeah, before I get too far into the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And it has been a minute since I have posted, but I was away studying for exams, and we hope that it went well. It didn't. I feel like I wrote terribly, but I hope that I did enough to pass. And I just feel like whenever I study, I cannot focus on anything else at the same time. I take a really long time to study. I'm also very detailed when it comes to studying. It's annoying. As with everything, I feel like I'm like that with everything in my life, which is why this build, usually I will do drafts before I record my builds, and that's probably why this build, the draft of it, took me like a day and a half to come up with. I think when I'm building with flat roofs, right, they look weird to me. They look unfinished, so I will just go back and forth with the roofing the entire time. And then this build did give me so many problems. Firstly, the circle rooms, you can see there were the freezers. I struggled with this freeze problem for the whole build. I did not find a solution to that back part, so I just left it like that. It didn't really bother me as much because it's kind of cutting off on the corners, so it kind of looks like it's intentional. But also, you see right now, I have this on a platform kind of. You see the platform in the front and there's a platform in the back. So when I was playtesting the lot, my Sims could not go in, even though it's a one tile platform, a one tile high platform, which is fine for Sims to walk in over or up to or whatever. And so they couldn't go in. So then I would replace the platform with foundation and they could go in. And then I would come back to the lot again, and then they couldn't go in with a one tile foundation. So I was like, okay, let me replace it back with a platform, and then the same thing happened. So I just had to place it flat on the ground basically, which is so unfortunate because I really do like how it looks with the platform, but I would rather want my Sims and your Sims to get in without any issues, And so yeah, this is the main shape for it right now. I really like the circular diner kind of look, and also I'm going with this red blue color scheme, which was also something that bothered me when I was doing the draft, because I plan to make this entire road like what it is right now, but I'm gonna put other things. I'm gonna include a hotel. I want to include a arcade and a rollercade, and then also on the last lot where the artscape building, the arts building is right now, I want to place there like a gas rest station with a convenience store, and for that obviously I'm going to need CC, so that's also why I'm including CC. For the other two builds, I think I can get away possibly with a motel or the hotel. I can get away without CC, but for the rollercade I'll probably also use some CC there because I have this arcade pack that I really like using when I build arcades, so I will be including that there. So with the color scheme here, I will probably use more of a pastel color scheme for the other builds, or like bright colors, and I just felt like maybe it's not gonna fit in, it's not gonna blend well. But I eventually just settled on these colors anyways. I like how it turned out, so I was like, I'm gonna stick to it, and if I want to change the colors later on, then I can do that. And then you would have seen that I use this brick. Now this brick is from Live Edit Objects, and the reason why I use it is usually with the diners or the inspiration that I was looking at for my diner, there's like this almost like a separation or the window kind of sits on something, like you see I have it right now. and I was looking for a wall or a tile or something in the bulb buy category, and then also some of the CC that I downloaded for something that sat just where, you know, the window is at that place, or at that point where it's like connecting with that little white part of the wall. I could not find anything. And so I went into live edit, and I remembered that I just did this with my winery, with the greenhouse. So I was like, okay, let me see if that works, and it worked out well. The only problem is it did take a long time, because right now, because of the foundation, which I later excluded, so it wasn't even necessary to go through all of this effort, but because of the foundation, where it is flat, right, where it's sitting on the ground, so not on the foundation, the brick wasn't tall enough to cover the entire section, so I basically had to double them up, and yeah, that whole process just took long, so I cut that out, and now it's not even necessary, because I mean the whole thing sits on the ground anyway. So yeah, and then yeah, at the back, I wanted the back part to be a little almost like alleyway looking, which is what you see me do here with the graffiti and stuff. And later in, I'm gonna tool mod some cars and vehicles at the back, the same like with what I'm gonna do in the front. And you won't get that when you download the build, unfortunately, because even when I placed this back on the gallery and then I downloaded it, or I placed it back again on this lot because there was an issue with a lot CC issue, which I did find. The cars didn't reappear that you're going to see me place at the back, so I'm guessing you won't then get that yourself. So let me tell you about the issues that I was experiencing with this build. So the first thing was it had something to do with the building. I think it was the brick thing that I was explaining to you now. So that was the first thing. Then it came to play testing the lot. So when I went into play testing the lot, I had to go into the world map, right? So on the world map, there was this big polygon, and what that meant was that there was a piece of broken CC in the build. So I had to basically do 50-50 method to find what CC that is. You know, when you play with CC and you play with mods, you can get a little complacent when it comes to the custom content because it doesn't break with every game update, right? So you're like, oh, okay, you know what, I don't need to check that because usually they don't break. However, I did come across something that broke. I also, because I switched, I'm no longer a laptop girly, I'm now a PC girly. And oh yes, I do want to mention this before I forget it. If you see any kind of blurring, right, at some points during this video, the reason why is with my G shade, you can currently see it happening at the moment in the corner. With my G shade, there's now this toggle that toggles on this blur, and I don't know how to remove the toggle just yet. And I only figured out that that was happening because I was so into the building that I only figured out that the blurring was happening because I kept on toggling it on and off with the X key. I also have a new keypad, or a keypad. I have a new keyboard, so my finger kept on hitting X when I was supposed to press Alt. And so I would switch it on and off and on and off. And then only when I got inside the build did it become really visible to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am, toggling it on and off. So I do apologize for that. I don't think it's too bad. You can kind of see what I'm doing still. So I kept that clips in. I didn't want to, take away from certain sections of the build because like I said, outside it does happen quite a lot because I only really noticed it when I went inside. And you can see it's just happening in that like right hand corner, or sometimes it happens with the build by also, or when I zoom in. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Now you'll probably notice it a little bit more than if I didn't mention it, but I did want to mention it. So anyways, I was saying when I went to the world map, there was like this huge polygon on the top of this build, and it wasn't doing it on other maps. And then I placed it in Willow Creek, I placed it in Strangerville world, and it was doing the same thing there. So I figured, okay, there must be something broken in the build. I did 50-50. I then found out that it was one of the tables that I was using. Perfectly fine, took out the table. Then I came back in, and then the game was not, or the build was not wanting to load. So once again, 50-50, and I found out that it was these tablecloths that I placed on the tables, which does make sense to me, because with Dine Out, right, I feel like Dine Out goes a little crazy when you're not using the the tables that comes with Dine Out. And so I think that by placing the tablecloths on the table, I was also causing like issues with loading up the build. Then I get the build loaded up. Now I'm gonna play test. I removed all of the problems, or so I thought. So I try to get the build running as a restaurant and it just won't run. The Sims are stuck on the sidewalk. They won't go in. Nothing is happening. They're not communicating. They cannot interact basically. I'm like, oh my gosh, what could this be? I had never faced that problem before. So I was like, okay, this seems like a script mod issue. But I was like, when I switched over to the PC, I updated all my script mods. There was one that escaped me, and it was the basemental venues list. I think I must have transferred it over without like really paying attention to it. It does sit almost like at the bottom of my mods folder just because of how I organize my mods folder, and I guess that's how I missed it. And that was basically causing it, because when I was testing it, I was like, okay, maybe this is a restaurant issue. Let me go to a cafe and see if the same thing is happening. And cafes never fail me. And at this point I was like, I'm just gonna convert this to a cafe because I can't anymore. I was so frustrated. And so eventually I went to the cafe, the same thing was happening, and that's what put me onto, okay, it's a mods issue. Found it, took it out. I'm not even using basemental's venue list or any of that mods at the moment, because, well, I used to use that when I was using career mods from Career Sims, which if you're ever looking for like active careers or different careers, they have some of the best career mods, I would say. So yeah, that's all of the issues that I experienced. Eventually I did get it to work perfectly as a restaurant. Obviously, Dine Out has its quirks, and I also tested it with Carl's Dine Out mod, which if you want to customize your dining experience or your restaurants a little bit more, I think that's a really good mod as well for restaurants. And yeah, so let me get back into what I'm doing. Yeah, you can see the blur is at the top as well at the moment, but I also realized that one thing I was doing when I was placing the lights is I was building a lot at night, or I was recording what I was doing at night. And I do apologize if that makes it a little bit more difficult to see, but I wanted to see, I do make this claim that I make pretty builds for the nighttime, so I need to make sure that it looks pretty at night basically. So when I was placing all of these lights and the stuff around it, which in my inspiration or the inspo that I was using for this build, a lot of the times the diners will have all of these neon lights and whatever, so I wanted to have that. And then here you can see I'm tool modding in the vehicles at the back. I just wanted it to be more lived in at the back, I guess, so that's why I did that. And oh yes, one thing that I want to address, I know that some people prefer Simlish over English in their games. I do not care about such stuff, but if you do, then obviously once I give this build over to you guys, it is all yours to do with as you please. And so if you want to remove any of the English and replace it, with what we have in game, the Simlish, then I think it would look well. We have a lot of the I think it would look well. I think it would look fine is what I mean to say. But we have a lot of things in wall art, and then also they hide like in the paintings, between the paintings there's like a lot of neon signs. If you have all of the packs, obviously they hide a lot of that stuff that actually glow up at night in there, so you should check. And sometimes they're also hiding behind other swatches, so one day when you are not too busy, I do recommend going through paint swatches, because you don't know what is hiding behind other swatches in there. And so now we finally made it to the inside. I feel like everything else outside was pretty much like self-explanatory based on what I was doing. I did use, in case you didn't know, I was using platforms to create the roof. And like I said in the beginning, whenever I do use platforms to create the roof, it just always looks unfinished to me, because it's normal to have roofing on. And so sometimes with these flat top roofs, I just don't know if it looks right. Sometimes I don't even know where to put all of the vents and those things that I place on the roof, like what is their purpose really, so sometimes I'll just place them on there just because I know that's where they should go, but I don't actually know what they do. So if I ever place any of those things wrong, well, I'm probably now gonna go look up what the purpose is. But if I do place any of those things wrong, it's just set dressing, obviously. And then I wanted to also say that during my play testing with Dine Out, when you have a single table, you can't really. Also, when you have a two-seater table, like on both sides, where two people can sit on both sides, you can't really have decorations in the middle of the table, which really bothers me, because what do you mean I can't customize my restaurant the way that I want it to look, because your Sims do not know where to place the food. So what will happen is, if you have something big on the middle of a single tile table, for example, the food will just disappear into thin air when it arrives, or it will come, they'll place it on the table, but your Sim will eat standing, because for some reason they cannot eat with that thing in the middle. So a lot of what you see me place on the tables, I eventually did have to remove. I was hoping I knew better, because when I built my vampire restaurant, I already figured out that you can't really put stuff on the middle of the tables, but I was just hoping, I had a little bit of hope that it would work. It didn't. So if you see things on the table in the photos, or during this video me placing things on the tables, I probably just used them for set dressing, but I probably did end up removing them so that the restaurant would function for you guys properly after, and for myself, because I was playing in this and I was enjoying it. I love seeing my Sims just do what they want to do in my builds and stuff. I would say though, I think that I placed two TVs in this diner, in this diner, and I don't think that was a good idea. As much as I think that a TV actually fits in a diner, every movie that I've watched with a diner, there's always a TV, So that does make sense to me. I just don't know if it makes sense for how the Sims are. They just flock to the TV and they stand around at the TV, which is one thing that I did not enjoy or like. So I probably will end up removing that from my own for my own gameplay, but I will upload the build with the TV in it, so that if you want to remove it, you can decide so on your own. And then currently I am busy with this. So this counter section is obviously just for show, or for, once again, set dressing. They're not actually going to stand behind the counters. I'm sure there are mods that you can use to have them stand behind the counter and do something. You could also replace some of these counters with maybe a bar, or you can make it a cafe and then use businesses and hobbies instead of Dine Out, and then also with Carl's Dine Out mod, you can actually have bars and earn money from the bar that you place in your restaurant. So if you want to make that cafe, or that counter section, more functional, then you can do that. I just didn't find a bar that fit really with the counters that I'm currently using, just because of how it looks. And yeah, I just felt like it looked weird, because I did try it, but yeah. And then, oh yes, this is one of my favorite things. This is Little Bob's drinks machine, and I won't include this in the main download for this build, because it is kind of like a mod that needs updating, or you will have to kind of check if it needs to be updated regularly. So I will not include that in the main download, because I don't know how people are putting the builds that they download and the CC that they download for the builds in their CC folder, but I would hate for it to kind of get lost in between furniture or CC that you don't regularly update, and then it's causing issues. Because for me, for example, I put my script mods at the top of my mods folder, so all of them are organized in that way, and then all of my CC is like in a group folder, and they are at the bottom of my mods folder, so it makes updating really easy. So that's why I'm gonna include links though on my Patreon post to that drinks machine. The drinks that come from that drinks machine is so delectable. They look so good. I wonder if I should include some video of my Sims going and getting drinks from the machine. But you download the recipes, right, for the drinks separately, and then you'll also need Granny's cookbook for the machine or for certain drinks from the machine, and that's why I'm not going to include it in the main download, because it is quite a lot that you have to. So I would rather you go and choose whether you want to download it. But also the diners can kind of order whatever you can get from that machine as well. So I think that's nice. They don't necessarily have to use the machine, but they can order it when they are ordering their meal as well. So yeah. And then I was trying to create, so usually I was thinking about a McDonald's, and I know a McDonald's, I don't know if we would count it as a diner, and I've also not been in a McDonald's for a really long time. But it used to have this area, right, where you would put your trays, and then there would be like a chute or a bin where you would throw your leftover food or whatever in. So that's kind of my idea for this section. And then it also used to have a section where you could get tomato sauce, and you could get, or ketchup, however you refer it to, we call it tomato sauce or whatever in South Africa. And you could get like extra knives and forks and stuff. So that's also kind of what I did there. I didn't know what else to do there, which I could have probably put the what do you call this, the radio, the stereo, no, it's not called that, I don't know, I forgot it now. But I could have probably put that against that wall, but I did find a different place for that, so I just placed it in that place. And then here we have the tablecloths. Unfortunately, they look so good, but I had to remove them. I could not keep them because they were causing conflicts. And then I decided to change the cashier section to the side so that I could have a full row of stools on that one side that you see open there. And then this set that I got, like the burgers and the chips from, that is from ZWH Sims, the retro set. And then the milkshakes came from that set as well. And then also the half drank milkshake is from Plush Pixels. And what I wanted it to look like is as if someone had kind of eaten or started to eat, you know, on that section. Obviously when people are dining here, it looks nothing like that. It comes on plates. And I don't know if there's a mod that can maybe allow you to customize how the plates look or whatever. Probably not. But I would have loved if that's how it actually looked, because that makes so much sense for this diner. But yeah, so I just put that around. I had it on a few of the tables before, but like I said, I had to remove that because it was just, the Sims weren't able to properly eat. And there's the first TV that I placed on the wall, and I went for an older TV because yes, I wanted the diner to be not too old, like it's stuck in a time period, you know, a certain time period, but I also wanted it to also look like, I guess, it was stuck in a certain time period. Modern but not so modern, modern but retro kind of, you know. So yeah. And then also with diners, they usually have a lot of things on the walls, so I was just going ham with all of the stuff on the walls. I had to use a few things, you know, multiple times, but I would rather do that than, for example, get more CC and then have this bowl be so filled with CC that it's just really big, you know. So I was trying to keep, although I was fully using CC, I was trying to be mindful of how big this build would be eventually. And then I wanted some cool lighting effects in this build, and I used this tube light from Nickname. And oh yes, the tablecloths are also from Nickname. I was really upset by the fact that they didn't work, but and I did try to find a table in game that had a similar tablecloth, but the base of the table was probably not what I wanted it to be. You'll see on the outside I also placed some tables afterwards. I felt like I could fit some tables on the outside, so I went and did that once I was done testing this lot. And then here you can see I placed those booths over there as well, but you know, it was the same thing as when I placed the booths in the other place, so I didn't really record that full process. And that's where the second TV is. And then I also placed that Cadillac, I think that's what it is, not a really good person when it comes to cars, but placed that light on the wall, and that's from Sim Possible. And then here I was so sad about this tablecloths that I also had to remove. And also, I later saw that that Marilyn Monroe photo, I actually did that for a grade 9 art project. We had to like do a line drawing, and the whole task was to place the drawing on the wall and then to trace it on the cloth because the sun shining through would allow you to. And I only noticed it afterwards. It's the exact same drawing. And I remembered after I finished grade 9, I went to that class because my sir was like, or my teacher was like, if you don't come collect it, we're gonna destroy it. And I still have it with me to this day. It's actually in the cupboard. I'm looking at it right now, because I just loved how much it turned out. And yeah, I kind of love me a little bit Marilyn Monroe. I haven't watched any of her movies, but I've just heard that she was just such a really good person, and obviously she did die in a really, really tragic way. And so yeah, I have a liking to her. I would love to watch her movies though. Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend is one of my favorite songs, but I only know that song because of Burlesque, with Christina Aguilera, which is also one of my favorite movies. I can't believe that that movie did horribly because it's such a good movie to me, at least. But I guess musicals is not really everyone's cup of tea. I think you would categorize that as kind of a musical. I mean, they do sing a lot in it, but yeah. And then here is the bathroom. So I was thinking about making the bathroom really gross, but this is a restaurant, so I did try and show that it's a little old. Maybe this part of the restaurant is kind of like lacking in TLC. But then I thought about it afterwards, because I'm gonna make that art center a rest stop area. I'm gonna make that bathroom really gross instead of having this bathroom be too much. I mean, this is still a place where Sims are going to eat, so I was a little bit conflicted on that, but I did try and do a little bit of that. I'm trying to do more of it because usually I feel like my builds are very pristine and I can make them look a bit more lived in, So I am going to try and do that a bit more with my builds. And then this section is the kitchen area. I wanted to include 2 chef stations because I feel like sometimes one is not enough. And then, oh yes, I forgot to explain this when I originally did it on the other side, but usually when, at least from movies, I've seen this. I don't think I've been in a proper diner, but usually they'll write what the person ordered, and I'm so sorry if you heard that, but there's trucks all up and down the road. But usually they'll write the order on the little notepad, and then they'll stick it on the open section. So that's kind of what I was trying to do. I found a note in debug, and then that's what I did. I had to flip it though with the tool mod so that it would fit properly with my idea. And yeah, so this counters, this is for the wisteria whisk kit or pack from Valeria. No, why am I saying Valeria Sims? Valia Sims. Yeah, Valia Sims. And I really like that pack. I spoke about it in my CC Rex for furniture, and I actually think I need to do another one of those because I've discovered so much CC when I got my PC all set up, because I had abstained from CC shopping for so long because I always complain about how full my laptop was, and now I have so much more space. I went crazy, but I also did a huge cleanup of my mods folder. So basically my mods folder stayed this like the same size, so I didn't do too much damage, I guess. But I did go and download everything I'd been holding off of for so long, and it felt so good. I don't know what it is about CC shopping, but it just gives me such a rush. But that really is all for this build. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and also there is one more thing that I will change. It is the booths on the one side of this restaurant. There's just something different that I wanted to include there, which I'll show in a few seconds. And then also I did redecorate one wall, which I will show in the screenshots. But yes, if you want to download this build, if you like it, I will include a link in the description to the Patreon post, and I'll also include it on the gallery. If you just want to download it, you want the shell but you want to decorate it yourself, it will be on SimWithMishka, or you can search using the hashtag SimWithMishka. Yeah. So let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thank you so much for being here, and I will chat to you in the next one. Bye bye.